Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Renuka blinking glimpses of major developments of the day from across the globe. The headlines. India calls upon SCO member states to enforce statutes to eradicate safe havens and financial networks supporting terrorism. UN Secretary General calls for renewed determination to eliminate chemical weapons from the world. US President-elect Joe Biden appoints all-women White House communications team. Australia demands apology from China for posting fake image on official social media account. WHO warns COVID-19 threatens global progress against malaria. And Lewis Hamilton wins Bahrain Formula One Grand Prix. India has called upon Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO member states to enforce internationally recognized legal statutes to comprehensively eradicate safe havens, infrastructure and financial networks supporting terrorism. Vice President of India, M. Venkaiah Naidu, has expressed concern about states that leverage terrorism as an instrument of state policy. He was addressing virtually the 19th session of the SCO Council of Heads of Government hosted by India.
The most important challenge faced by us in the region is terrorism, particularly cross-border terrorism. Terrorism is truly the enemy of humanity. It is a scourge we need to collectively combat. India condemns terrorism in all its manifestations. We remain concerned about threats emerging from ungoverned spaces and are particularly concerned about states that leverage terrorism as an instrument of state policy.
Mr. Naidu said that such an approach is entirely against the spirit and ideals and the charter of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. He emphasized that it's time to bring in much-needed reforms to global institutions, including WHO, and rework development strategies to face a post-COVID-19 world. Mr. Naidu asserted that India is committed to taking its cooperation within SCO to new heights by playing a proactive, positive, and constructive role in the organization. Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi has assured the farmers of the country that the new agricultural reforms have been introduced for their development. He was speaking in Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh this afternoon. Mr. Modi said the government not just wants to provide them new market opportunities, but also wants to strengthen the market system. The Prime Minister stressed that new agricultural reforms have given farmers new options and new legal protection, and at the same time, the old system also continues if someone chooses to stay with that.
काफी विचार विमर्श के बाद भारत की संसद ने कृषि सुधारों को कानूनी स्वरूप दिया। इन सुधारों से न सिर्फ किसानों के अनेक बंधन समाप्त हुए हैं, बल्कि उन्हें नए अधिकार भी मिले हैं, नए अवसर भी मिले हैं। इन अधिकारों ने बहुत ही कम समय में किसानों की परेशानियों को कम करना शुरू कर दिया है।
In keeping with its promise of agriculture reforms, Government of India has launched 1 trillion rupees Agriculture Infrastructure Fund, AIF. The AIF is a medium long-term debt financing facility for investment in viable projects for post-harvestment management, infrastructure and community farming assets through interest subvention and credit guarantee. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called for renewed determination to eliminate chemical weapons from the world. On the Day of Remembrance for all victims of chemical warfare, he said that the use of such weapons anywhere by anyone under any circumstances is intolerable and a serious violation of international law. The UN chief also underscored that impunity for use of chemical weapons is unacceptable. US President-elect Joe Biden has appointed an all-women White House communications team. He has chosen former Barack Obama's administration's State Department spokesperson Jen Psaki as his White House press secretary. Mr. Biden's communications team will be led by Kate Bedingfield, who will serve as the White House communications director. Bedingfield has served as deputy campaign manager and communications director for the Biden-Harris campaign. This is All India Radio giving you the world news. Australia demanded an apology from China after a senior Chinese Foreign Ministry official posted a fake image of an Australian soldier holding a bloody knife to the throat of an Afghan child. Prime Minister Scott Morrison has condemned the posting of the image by China's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Zhao Lijian on his official Twitter account on Monday.
The repugnant post made today of an image, a falsified image, of an Australian soldier threatening a young child with a knife, a post made on an official Chinese government Twitter account, is truly repugnant. It is deeply offensive. The Chinese government should be totally ashamed of this post. It diminishes them in the world's eyes.
Mr. Morrison said Beijing should be utterly ashamed for sharing the repugnant image. He demanded apology from Chinese government on the matter. The Australian government has asked Twitter to remove the image immediately. Earlier, Australia's army head had informed that its 13 Special Forces soldiers had to face dismissal in relation to an independent report on alleged unlawful killings in Afghanistan. Australia's relationship with China has deteriorated since Canberra called for an international inquiry into the origins of the coronavirus pandemic. The British government said on Monday that its telecommunications firms will not install new Huawei 5G kit after September 2021. The decision came as part of a plan to eject the Chinese firm's equipment from high-speed mobile networks. Britain has already ordered all Huawei equipment to be removed from its 5G network by the end of 2027. The government also announced a new strategy to diversify the 5G supply chain and the establishment of new research facilities. The World Health Organization has warned that gaps in life-saving interventions are undermining efforts to curb malaria amid fears that the coronavirus pandemic could set back the fight against the disease even further. The World Malaria Report released on Monday said that the situation is particularly concerning in high-burden countries in Africa. According to the WHO, nearly half of the world's population is at risk of the disease, and most cases and deaths occur in sub-Saharan Africa. The UN Health Agency urged nations and health partners to step up the fight against malaria with better targeting of interventions, new tools, and increased funding. New Zealand's workplace regulator, WorkSafe, has filed charges against 13 parties for not meeting their health and safety obligations in taking the tourists to the White Island. A surprise volcanic eruption on the White Island on December 9 last year killed 22 people and injured dozens. Majority of them were foreign tourists who were part of a cruise ship that was traveling around New Zealand. The agency, following an investigation into the incident, has charged 10 organizations under the Health and Safety at Work Act, with each charge carrying a maximum fine of $1.06 million. 3 individuals were charged as they were failed to exercise due diligence to ensure the companies meet its health and safety obligations in taking the tourists to the White Island. Now the coronavirus updates from around the world. The WHO has confirmed over 62.19 million COVID infections worldwide. The Canadian government has said that it will extend COVID restrictions for all travellers entering the country, except from the United States, until January 21. India is putting up a better fight against COVID-19 pandemic than the most of the countries. The countries like USA, UK, France, Brazil, and Italy have reported about 4 to 5 times the number of cases on a per million basis than India as on 28th of this month. The country has crossed another landmark milestone, with the total tests having crossed the 140 million mark today. Moving on to sports, Lewis Hamilton won the Bahrain Formula 1 Grand Prix for Mercedes. Meanwhile, French driver Romain Grosjean had a miraculous escape from a fiery first-lap crash that ripped his car in two. He suffered burns to his hands and is recuperating in a nearby hospital. India is celebrating the 151st birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let us listen to his favorite bhajan, Vaishnavi Jan, by artists from Japan.
भारत
with that, we end this bulletin. See you at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.